I've been running for over 20 years and there's a lot of things that have made that journey a lot better. So today I'm going to take you through all the things that I can't live without as a 2:15 marathon runner who's going to be trying to run quicker in just over 2 weeks' time. There's going to be something in here for everyone, so let's go. Let's start with the most obvious thing, and the thing that used to be enough for runners, and that is a pair of running shoes. Choosing between my easy run shoes and my race shoes for this video was like asking a dad to pick his favourite child, so I had to include both. I personally use the ASICS GT2000s for my easy runs, and that's just because they keep me uninjured when I'm running up to 115 miles per week, which is definitely the most important thing when it comes to easy run shoes. And for racing, I am using the Adios Pro 4s because honestly, I like them enough that I'm far too scared to try another brand. Race shoes are very expensive and I know I like these ones. I might like another pair better, but I like these just enough. These aren't the only shoes that are available. They're not even the only shoes that I wear, but they're the shoes that I couldn't live without. So find yourself a good pair of shoes that you like, that keep you uninjured, and stick with them. The second thing that I absolutely couldn't live without is my GPS watch. I've recently switched to Coros from Garmin, and the upgrade in GPS and battery life is just insane. I've also been using the armband heart rate monitor, which you just put on like that and it's good to go. Heart rate isn't something I've ever really focused on, just because I've not had an accurate heart rate monitor. Wrist heart rates are notoriously inaccurate, but this has been showing the exact kind of numbers that I would expect. So it's been great for the confidence, seeing myself getting fitter almost every day. So Coros, highly recommend. This is one of only 2 things in this video that I have actually been sent, but Holly's been wearing a Coros for way over a year and hasn't stopped banging on about it since. And my first impressions over this past few weeks has been that it's a really, really great upgrade. So I will leave a link to the Coros website alongside everything else in this video in the description, and you can have a look, see if you like anything, and maybe even support the channel. Next up is my running belt. I haven't spoke much on the channel about this for a while, but I can assure you that I've still been wearing it on every easy run. It's perfect for fitting my phone, and it even has this little hook for hooking on your keys so you don't lose them. There's plenty of space for gels and soft flasks if you want to wear it on harder efforts or in a race. I actually ran a 2:18 marathon using this belt. You just step into it, there's no clips or anything, so you forget it's there after like 2 minutes, and no issues. Love it, couldn't live without it. That's why it's in this video. The reason why I take my phone with me on all my runs is because I absolutely could not live without earphones. I do all my runs in earphones because I'm listening to music, listening to a podcast. I used to do all of my easy runs using these Beats Solo 3s, but recently got a pair of Shocks Open Run Pro 2s, the NN running version, and I've kind of been rotating just based on how I'm feeling. I honestly thought that the Shocks were a bit of a gimmick at first, but after trying them, they are amazing. Much safer to run in than the Beats because you can hear everything and still hear your music or your podcast like crystal clear. So earphones, essential. The next thing that I cannot live without, and I bet you can't either, is carbs. I use SIS gels and will have at least one of these on any run that's 90 minutes or over. Yesterday I did a 30k easy long run which took me about 2 hours, and I had 3 of these gels which are 22 grams of carbs each. I don't feel like I need the carbs in easy runs, but it just helps with the recovery, helps train the stomach, which is very important going into a marathon. When it comes to the harder sessions, I will switch to the Beta Fuel gel, which is 40 grams of carbs, just because I only need to have one gel and it's like twice as many carbs. And on top of that, I will also have Morton 320, which is 79 grams of carbs. There's no way I'm going to be able to do the training that I'm doing, the volume, the intensity, if I'm not fueling properly. and this is completely essential. You have to be aiming for 60 grams of carbs an hour at least, or else you're going to be in big trouble. You might get away with it for a bit, but it's just not going to happen long term. Sticking with mid-run fuel, we have got electrolytes. Now, one thing I'm not sure many people are aware of is that not all electrolyte tablets are created equally. I've had a lot of trouble with cramp in marathons in the past, so I'm quite aware of how much sodium is in some of these electrolyte tablets, and quite a few of them don't have enough. For me personally, I just cannot be skimping on the sodium. So in daily life, I will use SIS hydration tabs. These have got 345 milligrams of sodium in them, and I'll have one of these after every easy run, and then again after my double, or if I'm just feeling a bit like I need it. So generally having 2 of these a day, just plopping them in 500 millilitres of water, and that's enough to keep me hydrated properly. Also, sometimes I will mix in a little bit of salt with these if it's a bit hotter outside or if I just fancy it. And then when it comes to races or harder sessions, I will use Pure Sport electrolytes. These come in little sachets and have 1000 milligrams of sodium in them. So they taste very salty, but they definitely work, and I've been enjoying them. Try not to have them all the time. They're not the cheapest, but they work. If you get cramp, or if you feel like you just need a little bit of extra salt, try these, they're good. Also, very, very important for marathon race day and big marathon sessions are Imodium Instants. Hopefully I don't need to go into too much detail here about why I'm using these, but I find that they are the best for just keeping everything where it's supposed to be. Moving on. But sticking with nutrition, I'm going to group everything here in pre-run supplements. Let's start with Beat It. I've been taking Beat It for years now, and I'll take this once per day, every day for 6 days up until the marathon. Starting on the Monday and finishing on the Saturday, the day before the marathon. It's a bit like a carb load, but with purple pea. I find the beetroot benefits pretty subtle. However, I do trust the science enough that I'm just never going to stand on a start line without having taken this, without having it in my system, because it works and there's really no point in me not taking it. Next up is Nomio, and just for transparency, this is the second of 2 things in this list that have actually been sent, but on that day of the marathon, 3 hours before, I will swap out the beetroot shot and take Nomio instead. The interesting thing about Nomio is I find that since I've been taking it, I've just been able to suffer for a lot longer, and I know that that's probably not a great selling point for anyone, but on Friday I did this session, and after the first set I was like completely redlining, felt like I wasn't going to be able to do it, but somehow managed to pull out a session that got quicker as it went, and I honestly think that this is the benefits of Nomio. It just makes me feel like I can keep pushing even when it's like disgustingly hard, which isn't probably a great thing for running enjoyment, but a really good thing for results. And last but not least is bicarb. Now, I've been using this since the early summer, and I honestly don't think I would have broken 29 minutes for 10k if it wasn't for bicarb. It just makes me feel so strong, like I can keep pushing at a point where it should be too hard, but I can feel strong doing that, and I think we'll find out for definite in just under 3 weeks, but I think that it's really been helping with my cramp. Now, I don't want to jinx it, because generally I don't get cramp in training. However, last year when I was doing hard long runs in Font Romeu, I was getting cramp, and this year, even though it was like really warm, I wasn't getting cramp when I was taking bicarb. So something's changed. This bicarb has so much salt in it that it's probably that, but we'll find out in Berlin, and subscribe if you want to find out whether or not I get cramp in Berlin Marathon in 2.5 weeks. Finally, on things that I put in my mouth, and honestly this should be number 1 on the list, because I could run barefoot before I could run without coffee. Do you want to ask me how I'm feeling?
How are you feeling?
Terrible. Not had coffee this morning. There's really not much I can say about coffee that hasn't already been said, but I use this French style coffee from Aldi, I put it in my AeroPress, it's amazing. And when I go and visit Holly, I use her Nespresso pod machine that I got her for Christmas. I love it. Let's move on to some strength training equipment. So I've managed to limit myself to 3 items that have been key in building strength outside of the gym. And first is a Swiss ball. So I use this for hamstring curls, which I recently found out that I've been doing wrong for like 10 years. You actually have to have your bum pretty elevated to get the benefit. It's really hard, but seems to be working a treat. And I also use it for some core exercises that I've stolen from elite runners. Next up is, oh yeah, this dumbbell, which is probably about 16 kilos, and I use this dumbbell for calf raises and glute bridges. I just use the same one, it's easier, and my papa actually made these weights like 50 years ago, so that's pretty cool. Oh god. Finally, on strength training equipment, I use this extra heavy resistance band. I use this for hip strength in the form of crab walks, and also use it for ankle exercises. I attach it to this holder that my mum made, put that on the banister and do some ankle strength work. And if it wasn't for these 3 things, I would have 100% had more than the 2 injuries that I've had in my 20-year running career. I'm going to finish up with things that are essential for my recovery. I absolutely love a nap. I have one most days, and this is another thing that I love about the Coros. It seems to be able to track my naps, but I could not have these naps if I did not have my eye mask. And honestly, this is probably the best money I've ever spent. Like, I cannot see a thing right now, and the blinds are wide open. I can sleep like it's the middle of the night when it's the middle of the day, and I love it. I get really deep naps in between sessions and wake up feeling like it's a new day, which is it's exactly what you want from an eye mask, isn't it? And that pairs perfectly with earplugs. Now, these don't always stay in the whole way through the night, but if I wake up for a pee or something, I'll just adjust them. They get me off to sleep, and they'll still be in when I wake up in the morning because I'm always up for a pee at like 5 AM. And they're great for blocking out any barking dogs in the morning. One more thing that I use all the time are blue light blocking glasses. Now, I know that it's better if you just get off your phone before bed, but it's 2025, so we need to be realistic, and these at least make me feel like I'm making a good positive decision. So blue light blockers, always. The last thing that I properly swear by pre-race is a hot bath, and this wouldn't be complete without Radox Muscle Soak and Epsom salts. Now, I don't actually have Epsom salts right now because this isn't something that I do in the training block. I prefer to just let my legs recover naturally and actually adapt to the training. But in that last week before a race, every day I'm going for a 20-minute hot bath. This can be difficult if you're traveling to a marathon and staying somewhere that doesn't have a bath, but I personally do my best to try and stay in places that have baths, just because I know how much it helps my legs. And that's about that. I'm pretty happy that this is a very exhaustive list that hopefully hasn't outed me for being too high maintenance. But don't forget to check out the links in the description and let me know in the comments what you can't live without, and I'll see you next week. Cheers!